Alright, we are continuing on with Exploring Creation with Zoology 3, Land Animals of the Sixth Day. Edward, you can have your turn to talk in just a minute. We'll be doing animal careers and zoologists. Okay, you guys can say hi. I don't know if he's listening, but you can say hi. I know Ethan and Jack are listening.
Hi, Ethan and Jack and my cousins and William and Lewis and Cody and Bird Pie. And guess what, Mom? Tell you what. So when we're close to the end, I'm gonna tell them thanks for listening.
Okay, I'll try to help remember that. Do you have anything to say? Hello, to you?
I love you, my cousins.
Okay, here we go. We're going to start with animal careers. If you have a special love for animals, you may want to consider a career that will give you the opportunity to work with them. There are many ways for people to work with animals as a career. All of them can be rewarding if you love animals. Some require degrees or certifications, others don't require any special education, but they do require training. Let's take a look at a few of the jobs you can get working with animals. The most obvious care for a person who loves animals is to become a veterinarian. That's our big word, a veterinarian. A veterinarian is a doctor who works with injured and ill animals. Most veterinarians each specialize in small animals like dogs and cats or large animals like horses and cows. Very few will specialize in exotic animals like marine animals, zoo animals, or chickens. I know chickens don't seem all that exotic, but once a veterinarian knows about chickens, she can treat parrots and injured birds in the wild. And this is the picture that they have of a veterinarian. Mom. Yes, Edward.
So, that's too late because I said Mom and you didn't listen, so...
Edward, you were being rude. I was reading and you cut in. So you need to keep your thoughts in your mind so you can ask them rather than acting like it's my fault because I didn't jump. Okay. Let's keep going. A veterinarian who specializes in exotic animals can also work in zoos or animal parks, with wildlife organizations, or with animals researching organizations. An exotic veterinarian can even work in chicken plants, treating the chickens that will one day be served on someone's dinner table. One interesting veterinary career involves working with politicians and health organizations, educating people and creating programs called the zoonotic diseases. Zoonotic diseases are illnesses transmitted between animals and people, like avian flu, mad cow disease, West Nile virus, and Lyme disease. While there are more than 150 medical schools in the United States, there are at least 30 veterinary schools. There are less than 30 veterinary schools. This means a person who has a better chance of becoming a doctor than a veterinarian. What? Edward, use your words. What?
Oh, sometimes my back hurts and itches.
I'm sorry. However, you have a greater likelihood of getting into veterinary school if you have experience working with different types of animals. There are many places to get this experience. You could volunteer as a vet's assistant or in a laboratory that studies animals. You could also... Yeah. You could also volunteer for a few years on a farm. A laboratory? Mm-hmm. It's a place where experiments happen. You could also volunteer for a few years on a farm, zoo, or nature preserve. The most experience you have with different kinds of animals, the better your chance of being accepted to a veterinary class. Zoologists are people who usually have a degree in zoology or biology and intend to work with animals. A zoologist will often work in the field specializing in one type of animal. This often involves capturing, tagging, or recording the number of animals found in a specific location. Studying animal populations is a very important part of zoology. Zoologists often work for government agencies. Because that's what we're talking about, is zoologists. And they study zoology, or animals. Zoologists often work for government agencies or private companies, helping people decide how to preserve the animal population in that area. You will do an experiment in a later lesson that will help you understand population growth and decline. This zoologist is studying a pine snake he found hidden under a board. Also, zoologists can become zookeepers or aquarium keepers. Zookeepers usually begin... That's the snake that he found. By caring for specific types of animals in their habitats. Eventually, they can add more and more animal exhibits to their
Then
responsibilities.
why can you not see its mouth and its
Right there.
eyes? Oh. I'm saying, where was this?
That's the zoologist. Eventually, they can add more and more.
Water.
Right there. Remember we looked at the picture earlier? That's the zoologist. He's studying the snake. Eventually, they can add more and more animal exhibits to their responsibilities, working their way up to being in charge of an entire zoo. At that point, they're often called zoo curators. In addition to making sure the animals are properly cared for, zookeepers watch for unusual behavior of illnesses. They also make sure that the animals are groomed, exercised, and trained if necessary. That's a veterinarian.
Veterinarian?
Mm-hmm.
I know veterinarian.
Yeah, the animal doctors. Zoologists can also get animals for a zoo.
No, I'm talking about the puppy.
Usually from other
Mom,
zoos or breeding
guess what?
programs.
Guess what, Mom? I have an animal doctor reading book.
Yeah, you do. You're correct. She's a veterinarian. Other zoologists work in the zoo as animal behaviorists. These people train with other zookeepers on how to interact and care for the animals. They have experience working with animals and usually hold a degree in animal behavior. Zoologists can also spend time as animal educators, helping people understand animals and their habitats.
What's this?
The wildlife... You need to be quiet now. You're listening to this. The wildlife rehabilitation or capturing an ill sea lion. Once this gets back to health, this will hopefully be able to release it back to the wild. So this sea lion is sick, and their job is to capture it and take it to help get it better, and then hopefully they can release it back. Zoologists can also spend time as animal educators, helping people understand.
Mom, when I put this in my toy.
Okay, Gwenny, we're not talking about that right now. Zoologists can also spend time as animal educators, helping people understand animals and their habitats. Wildlife parks, sanctuaries, aquariums, and museums hire educators to create brochures, videos, tours, and exhibits. These zoologists often live on the park grounds and study, research, and explore wildlife behavior. They usually write books or magazine articles, which is another way for them to make a living as a zoologist. Animal educators and program directors need a strong background in writing and speaking. As a zoologist, you can also be a wildlife rehabilitator, which is what he's doing. Remember, this is what I said?
Oh, then why does he have a knife?
Because you capture the animals and you get them healthy and put them back into the wild.
This one?
In this case, you would...
When you not see its eyes and its mouth.
You can. It's right there. There's his nose and his eyes. In this case, you would work for the government or some other agency to care for ill, injured...
up in the air?
Yes. Or orphaned animals with the hope of one day being able to release them back into the wild. Guinevere, go sit down in your spot and stop climbing on top of your brother. Sometimes wildlife rehabilitators or other zoologists become animals trainers at theme parks like SeaWorld or Disney's Animal Kingdom. Zoologists can also make wildlife documentaries. These are informative shows about animals you might watch on Animal Planet or the Discovery Channel.
Hey, Mom.
It is a good idea to have experience with filmmaking if you want to make documentaries. If you plan to become a zoologist, it is important that you learn good communication and writing skills. You will need these skills to help others understand how to protect the animals you study.
Is this guy a boy?
I don't know. It's not enough for me to be able to talk. Okay, you wanted to say something.
Okay. Thanks for listening, and thanks for listening, everybody.
Do you have anything, Gwenny?
Nothing.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.